Have you ever felt drained after talking to someone? That's a sign. Today, we are talking about stop the drama, how to set boundaries with toxic people. Hi, my name is Marcella Crank with Crank It Up Coaching, but today you are listening to Soul Fuel Sanctuary. Yvette?
And I am Yvette Carrion of Pivot Point Life Coaching and Trainings. And yes, today we're going to talk about toxic relationships and how to get out of that. In the first place, we don't even know that we get sucked into toxic relationship. I heard someone uh say about love bombing. We all want to feel love. And so we get sucked in, I guess, when we are love bombed. You're beautiful. You're the greatest. You're awesome. You make me feel I'm on top of the world. And then after so many months and days, or sometimes years, you're not on top of the world of the person. You're the cause of the misery. And it makes you miserable as well. And all these stuffs. So toxic relationships. What can you say about them, Marcella?
I can give a personal example. Not too long ago, I was meeting a group of people that I didn't know, but we were gonna, check each other out. And there was this one lady, and it didn't matter what I said or what I did. And she not only did it to me, she did it to other people too. But she just really made you feel bad, put you down. And I even, because normally, well, I shouldn't say normally, my old self would have not said anything. But I was like, I'm changed. I have to say something. So I said, you know what you said? I'm feeling some kind of way about that. And she just blew it off. She said, oh, she basically, I won't even tell you what she said, but basically she said, oh, well, too bad, is what she said. And that right there is a toxic relationship.
Mm. And
Yeah.
how many of you guys are in that situation when you just shut up and put up? But how do you feel after shutting up and putting up? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel like you're stepped down? Do you feel so small? Do you still like a while ago, Marcella and I were talking about the the sympathetic nervous system, whereas there's the flight, the fight, the freeze, and another one added the fawn. Right, Marcella? When you're like hiding in this place or just stopping and feeling so small, and in fact, it's like a fetal position sometimes at very extreme points. The fetal position when you really recluse yourself and feel this is my safe space. I'm not gonna say anything. I won't hurt anybody. I'm just here. I'm this little thing here, and
Yeah.
it's not good. Yeah, it is a response of
Mhm.
of our psyche because it's to protect us. But when you're self-aware and you become aware that, hey, I don't want to be treated this way. It makes me feel small. I don't want to feel small. It makes me scared. I don't want to be scared.
Mhm.
And so that's when self-awareness comes in again. And then you again decide like, okay, I'm gonna do something about this toxic relationship.
Yes.
And in the last episode, we talked about affirmation. And this is an affirmation. I am strong.
Mhm.
I mean, I like that.
That's so true. That's so true. So let me share some signs that you may be going through when you're in a toxic relationship. You constantly feel drained and anxious when you're around that person. And even I said around that person, you do feel like that. But for me, sometimes I may not feel it until I leave their presence. And then I'm just feeling terrible. I'm down. And normally, and I'm an up person, but it just, the right word is drained. You feel drained when you're with them and when you're without them. And you feel guilty when you have to say no. You don't want to say no. And now that's not one sign that you can, if you feel guilty, oh, I'm in a toxic relationship, because a lot of times women, we don't like to say no. But that is one part of it, when you feel guilty about saying no. And another sign is when you are being manipulated, you're guilt tripped, or what you believe or say is invalidated. So you're never good
Mm,
enough. You're never doing the right thing. And they
mm,
always have critical comments about you. That is a toxic relationship. And another sign, if you feel like you have to over explain yourself, you always explaining why you're doing this, and that is a toxic relationship, because you don't have to explain yourself, overly explain yourself all the time. But when you over explain, you're trying to get that person to agree with you.
that's so true. And you know what? I also read this Dr. John Townsend. He's a psychologist, and he said people will treat you as poorly as you let them. Okay? So boundaries help you maintain your self-respect and teach others to respect you. So it comes from, again, starts with you. When you
Yes,
feel
yes.
that you're stepped on, that's as Marcella said, that's a red flag.
Hmm. Yvette, I have to tell you now, I don't know about this guy that you just mentioned, but that is one of my sayings, is people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. And that
Mm,
is so true. So what boundaries does is, it is like a gate. Now, it's a little different for toxic people, but boundaries help you to help others treat you like you want to be treated.
yeah,
And
that's true.
yes, yes. And so it's a little different with toxic people, because a lot of times with toxic people, your gate may not open as wide for toxic people, because most of the time, toxic people are not just toxic with you, they're toxic with a variety of people, because they themselves are unhappy, so they make everybody around them unhappy. That is normally the
Mm,
case.
yeah. And imagine if a toxic person lives with someone else. I mean, what drama? And we want to stop the drama, as Marcella said at the beginning of the show. Stop the drama, and you have that power. You just have to exercise that power. You just have to assert yourself and then set your boundaries, as Marcella said. I mean, Marcella, when we were talking again a while ago, I like what you said. We set a wall, not a fence, for toxic people. How about you guys? Do you set a fence and open the gate? Or do you decide to put a wall between you and a toxic person?
Yeah.
It's really, what practical tips can you give our audience?
One thing that you have to be so careful, because toxic,
Mm,
like you were just saying, toxic people, most of the time, you have to separate yourself. Now, if you're in a relationship where it's not easily, where you cannot easily separate yourself, then you have to take care of yourself, and
mm,
perhaps get counseling or something on how to deal with that particular person. But setting boundaries. One of the things, there's a couple of things that I want to share with y'all. And one is that anytime you set a boundary, you should use an I statement. Please don't yell. I cannot take you yelling at me. And if you yell, I am sorry, but this conversation is over. So please calm down because I cannot bear you yelling at me.
Mm.
So it's not, even though you're telling them something that you want them to do, but it's based upon you and not them. So there's a difference between setting boundaries where person is trying to manipulate you and they're like, well, I need you to do this. And that's it. They don't say what's going on with them. Well, why do you need me to do it? I need you to do this, this, and this. And it's based upon I need you to change your what you're doing so that I can be all right. But with setting boundaries, you're giving them an option, right? It's
Yeah.
saying, I'm I am not feeling comfortable because you're yelling. And if you don't stop yelling, so if you say you have that if in there, so they can choose what they want to do. If you don't stop yelling, I am going to have to end this conversation. And guess what? What you have to do is end the conversation if they continue to yell. So you have to have that follow through. You can't just say
Mm.
something and allow that behavior to keep going,
Yeah.
allow that behavior to continue to cross your boundary.
Mm, yeah. And oftentimes we have set our boundaries, but keeping that, sustaining those boundaries, sometimes it takes also such effort and I guess mindfulness, because often or at times we really lose our we open our gates again and forget that the gate is open. Because we're just people who love people, and those people who see us that they can take advantage of us, and we have set the gates closed sometimes and they see that, oops, the gate is open, now I can enter. And I can manipulate, I can hurt this person
Mm-hmm.
again, and I can do whatever. So what can we do and to sustain these boundaries? What do you think?
Um,
Well,
well, we
go ahead.
I was just going to say we have to be consistent is the
Hmm.
primary thing. But first of all, you have to identify what is draining you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to identify exactly what's going on here. Is it they are always speaking down to me that my opinions never matter? Whatever it is, you have to identify what the issues are. And then when you find that out, you have to set clear boundaries. Please
Yeah.
don't talk to me that way. That makes me feel like I'm unworthy. And I know that that's not true, but I mean, that may not be the reason why you're saying stuff like that, but it really bothers me. So please don't talk down to me any longer. And if you do, I'm going to have to distance myself a little bit from you.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. And I think also when you communicate your boundaries with, as you said earlier, your I statements, it is clear unless the person is really selfish. And if the person is such, then it's unworthy of your relationship
Hmm.
at all. Right. And then,
Right.
um, again, when you set your I statements, there are consequences of going overboard your boundaries. And then
Hmm.
I like it when you
Hmm.
said stay consistent, because when you're
That's
consistent
key.
and uh you just be this person with these boundaries, people will learn to treat you well, and
Right.
people who will come to you are the people who are worthy of your time, of your
Hmm.
effort, of who you are actually.
Yeah, yeah. And if you notice, when I was given the example, I wasn't aggressive. So don't be aggressive. Just speak. Speak your truth.
Mhm.
What you will uh, put up with, really, what you will put up with and what you won't. And the
Mm.
consequences for stepping over the boundary. Now, warning, 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 you will get pushback. You will get pushback because this is something new. This is the new you. Before, people could walk all over you, before they could say anything they want to you out of their mouth, before they can treat you anyway, and you would grin and bear it. And
Mm.
now, and this is how they feel, you have the audacity to come to me like that. And believe me, what is going to happen is that they are going to continue to see if you're serious. They're going to continue with their behavior to see if that was a fake you who just said that, or is it real? And have to, you have to follow through with whatever the consequences is. And isn't that true with anything? If you have children
Yeah,
and when you threaten them, you have to follow through with whatever
that's
you
true.
said that they would either get or not get. You have to follow through. So it's the same thing. And just like a parent-child relationship, they will
Yeah,
try you to see if you're for real, right?
yeah, the
And they
battle of
will,
the wills.
right, and they will push you. They will push you to see if you will change your mind. So it's kind of like the same thing that
Yeah.
you will definitely get pushback. And so one of the things that I recommend is, if this is new to you, is to maybe get somebody that you uh, respect and like, and kind of go over your boundaries with them and maybe even practice a little bit to get strengthened. But you are going to definitely get pushback. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. You are worthy and you're worth it. And this is about self love. And so, self love, we cannot tolerate toxic people in our space. Either they have to respect you or they have to go. Now, and I'm saying this as friends, but you might have a spouse that is toxic. And with that, you have to probably do some other things. But you can start off with boundaries. Using,
Yeah.
like we've said a couple of times, using I statements. I really feel bad when you,
Yeah.
and I would never do it when you are in a heated discussion. Like I said, don't be aggressive. So when things have calmed down, you talk and you say, I really feel bad, or I really, whatever it is, I, when you do.
That's true. Very, very practical points that anybody can live by. And the truth hurts. Sometimes you try to evade the topic that you're in a toxic relationship because you
Mm-hmm,
want to pretend that everything is okay. But even if the truth hurts, that you realize in your feelings and get to know your feelings that I'm getting hurt, but it's okay. It's not
mm-hmm,
okay because you're gonna
mm-hmm,
get sick. It will always manifest itself in physical ailments. And so, if you feel in any way, as Marcella said, with the red flags that we've discussed earlier, assess yourself, take care of yourself because nobody else will. It is your own psyche, your own body, it's your own heart, your own mind. So, take care of yourself. When you feel any of those being stepped on, just speak up. Be assertive, not aggressive, but assertive. And so this goes also for like for me, I was a people pleaser. I would just say yes to everything so that people will like me, even if it hurt me. And so from the voice of experience, toxic relationships are gonna make you sick. It made me sick. It literally made my heart sick until I got decided first. Listen to my feelings. I decided that this is not what I want. I want to get out. And so I became assertive. I set my boundaries. And yeah, it is difficult, but you have to be consistent with those boundaries. Because we only have one life and this is our very own. And self-love and self-care isn't selfish. It's not selfish when you say no. So get out of the toxic relationship if you can. You know, if it's a friend or a distant relative or somebody else. If it's a spouse, you can go through counseling together because maybe both of you are going through the same thing, but just don't know how to get it out. You know, there are things that can be done. As they said, there's so many ways to skin a cat. And so, although the pet lovers, I'm sorry for that. That's just a saying. We don't really do that. So with that, our episode again comes to an end. This is such a big topic: toxic relationships, boundaries, self-love. It is really not enough to have this episode, but if you do want to get in touch with us, you can find a comment, connect with us in Soulful Sanctuary. And Marcella, what else do they do?
You know, so if this episode brought up some feelings and you need help, both Yvette and I are certified coaches, so we are able to help. And so in the comments, we have our email address. And if you would like to talk to Yvette, say, I would like to talk to Yvette, or I would like to talk to Marcella, and perhaps we can hear your situation. And if we are able to help, we'll help. And with that said, my book, The Self Love Workbook for Women, and as you know, this it's we're talking about it. So it's even though I have it's for women, it, all the principles apply to men too. So get your book at Amazon. Yay!
Yeah.
Finally, finally, finally. And if this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe, like, and comment. We have gotten some comments. Yay!